Perfect.
How are you doing this week?
Okay. He's like extra whiny today. I want to show you this video. This was just him right now getting out of the car. Or like when we had pulled in. Yeah, this week is just fucking crazy for me, so I honestly haven't been able to work a full time. I've been keeping the remote on 87 to 8 to like 95 consistently. I haven't put it below that. He's still like, I don't know, he just doesn't respond as well when I'm watching him at home. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Is it busier? Like more people, more traffic?
Here, yeah, absolutely.
This is busier than that.
Then at home, yeah, for sure, because like a lot of times it's just like a one-on-one situation, and he reacts so much different with that. And I just...
Did you bump it at all?
Yeah.
What size you went?
97.
Like consistently though? Like let's say, because I think what I talked about last time was like, let's say you start at 85 on Monday, and it feels the same, right?
Yeah.
Then on Tuesday I'm at 90.
Yeah.
It's the same. Wednesday I'm at 95.
Yeah.
It's the same. Thursday I'm at 100. Like you're just gradually going up till you find that breaking point. Because we need consistency in terms of, how would you say, there has to be a constant so we know, is there a change in his behavior? Because behavior is a variable. Okay, the behavior is what we're looking to change. So if I know at 85 it's still the same, the 70, 90, 95, 100, right? And then if you're at 127, and you're like, it's still the same, then I have to look at, okay, what are you doing within the moment? Okay, because so that's all right.
But chill out. Sound is not. Can I send it to you?
Yeah.
My sound is not playing right.
Are you in T-Mobile?
No, I have Verizon.
Okay. I was gonna say I've had outages a bunch the last couple days. Like yesterday in particular was really bad.
Do you have my work number?
What I have saved is...
Should be 983.
Oh, my headphone? It's in the window. Yeah. I think this is...
Oh, sure.
You hear yourself?
Okay. Does he do that all the time?
Like at home sometimes, yeah. Like if I'm like outside smoking or whatever, he can see me on the porch, like then he gets pissed.
So separation.
Yeah. And then like, I don't know. Like,
Your last name is proper, correct?
yeah. I don't know. Like sometimes, yeah, he gets like real whiny.
Does he just jump in the car?
Yeah.
Is he typically whining? Today was just really bad.
He typically whines a little bit, but not like that. Not like crazily.
Okay. Is there like a certain route that you take here that's pretty consistent? So he's probably getting the association of we're going to Oz Park, and the anxiety can either be, I know it doesn't look like it, but excitement to a dog doesn't always mean good excitement. It's just like stimulation. Okay, so like I know we're going to this place. So like our daycare dogs, a lot of times they're like whining and spitting in the back because they know where we're going. So that's a possibility. He also knows that here's me. So that's another possibility. When you open your car door, does he just hop on in? Or does he hop on out? Okay. Do you ever put any like rules to that?
What do you mean rules?
Like threshold rules, like not allowing him to do that stuff.
Not allowing him to play that?
Correct.
No.
No? Okay. Because that can help taper all this stuff.
Wait, what do you mean?
So like if I open my car door, My dogs don't jump in.
Yeah.
They wait till I sit over there.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah. He does do that.
Okay. Have you put remote behind that? No? Okay, so what I was trying to think of what today was, one, how the week went. So for this week, you're going to want to do that.
Yeah.
Monday 85, Tuesday 90, say Friday.
So should I bump now to like 92 and start there for this week? Because I've been like mostly on like 87-ish.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, and we'll see how he does here, because I know, like you said, like his behavior here is different, right?
Yeah.
And if we see it's just too much here, then we'll adjust it. But once you go back into your home setting for the rest of today,
Okay.
I keep
well,
it.
we're moving on Tuesday. I think I told you. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So then we're gonna have like a new home setting.
Sure.
So.
And if his behavior changes the first 2 to 4 weeks, like if it seems better and stuff, it takes dogs a couple weeks before they get comfortable in the new setting that he'll start to show you his like normal self. So just be mindful of that, because people, they move and they think the dog's better because of the movement, not the dog's themselves. Okay. So we either cover that. Whenever you're going through any kind of thresholds and stuff like that, I typically don't care for thresholds. Okay. But in a case like this, I look for any and every opportunity to apply remote discipline. So that's a place, going in the car, going in the home, coming out the home, especially if you got a dog that forges quite a bit. Not allowing that foraging, because that's how you're starting everything off. And that goes for anything a dog wants, okay? Or it was progressing towards recall. We do have a social walk right after you. I think you have 3 other dogs joining us today.
Okay.
So it'll be quite a few dogs. And then we'll see how the reactivity does. And then keep me posted. If you can somehow get video of the moment or whatever. Yeah.
Like tape my phone on my chest.
Yeah, like a little GoPro. Trying to see, because that's gonna be hard.
Yeah. Almost like a growing arm.
Do you have a friend or a roommate that walks with you ever?
Yeah, but she was hit by a drunk driver this week. So
Jesus
she's
Christ.
Not, it's been a crazy week.
Wow.
I'm not gonna cry. She's okay, but she can't walk right now. So.
Sorry to hear that. Okay, what would you like to work on?
I don't know. I don't even know. Like, just his reactivity is just still so up and down. Like, still so.
And we have the Saturday walks.
Yeah.
I have other stuff that I do, but you have to make it out.
Yeah.
And if like he does well there,
Yeah.
Then there's something outside of this that's off.
Yeah.
Okay, so in most cases it's the number.
Yeah.
You are up there.
Yeah.
Like that young lady last name, Emily, she's gonna be here today. Like she ended up capping the collar, right? She was at 127.
Yeah.
But she's able to stop it, and in her neighborhood, she's a lot better. Here, this is not realistic to her because she lives like in a quieter part of Chicago.
Okay.
And unless like it's a very, I would say, high energy dog or something, she's able to shut it down. But there's also inconsistency in the home. It's like that's another variable, unfortunately. I was like, because I told her like everybody has to be on the same page, or the dog learns, and I'm with grandpa, I get away with stuff, and I'm with grandma, I get away with stuff. But only when I'm with you do I have to behave. That becomes problematic. Okay? So, let me think here. When you put him in the car, how was it?
He's fine when we were first in the car. I mean, he's always a little bit on edge in the car, but like, I don't know. Especially like on city streets and stuff where it's like stop go. Like when I'm in the highways and stuff, he's okay.
Gotcha.
But I don't know. As soon as we like turned on the rear view, he was like just going crazy. Actually,
is there a time of day when you walk them where it's more difficult? Like, do you like react like reactivity wise? Do you always? Is on every walk you get it, or is it like later walks when there's more dogs in the area?
I don't think I've noticed a specific time of day. I just know like certain times of day are busier than others.
When you're walking,
Right. So I don't know if I would necessarily coordinate specifically the time of day.
Okay. And what are you doing to prep for the moment?
I kind of just depends because like the thing I struggle with now is like a lot of our like in a lot of our grass area, there's like the sidewalk and then there's like the little grass areas and there would be the street. A lot of the homes over there, they have like those little fences around the grass, so there's nowhere to like step on. So So when I go into those moments, I kind of just have to like play it by ear and see where I can maneuver. Just because he absolutely cannot be on like a small sidewalk with another dog. So it really just depends. I kind of just have to like gauge the situation and see how I can move.
Okay. And what's your typical situation? Like, let's say you don't have the space. Is it you just keep walking?
I usually will step right towards the street.
Okay.
Like on the close, I won't cross the street, but I'll go like into the street, like right on the closest side. If there's no else.
Okay. Percentage-wise, how many times is he being reactive when you see the dog? 60. When you step aside, are you able to get him complete the entire like step aside? He's already auto sit, shorten your leash. You're already prepped. Okay, and then the dog comes in. When does the blow up happen?
When we're in the street, that kind of varies because sometimes cars are blocking him. I don't know. I don't know if I would say once they get closer, typically, when they're like within, I don't know how many feet, 30 feet or so.
He's already being reactive for 30 feet. And what's reactive? Lunging, barking? Lunging, barking, or?
Typically, yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
Typically, yes.
Okay, so at 30 feet, he's already lunging and barking.
Well, at 30 feet, I would say he's getting tense, not lunging yet. Barking, usually, yes. Lunging doesn't happen until the years.
And you're tapping all the way at that
Yeah.
beginning point.
Yeah.
Okay, when you're tapping, what's his response?
Usually not.
Okay, so he takes a hit and just keeps barking. Yeah, something too little. So,
We'll go ahead because we're probably gonna move. If you want to put up your stuff.
sure.
Yeah.
So,
Where'd you park?
I'm on Lincoln,
Lincoln.
past the Jimmy John's
Yeah.
on the Jimmy John's side.
Well, you want to put your bag away too?
Yeah, and just bring a battery for the next one. Thank you. Yeah, so when you're at the appropriate number, if a dog is being reactive, you'll see them move back. Okay, that's the clearest visual. Is an aversive is meant to disrupt or stop what's happening, right? So if I'm at 85 and I see like screw you, like I might just keep doing like yo, like that.
Yeah.
When she came at 95 and clearly wasn't working, and then finally she went to 127, and it took a few taps, but he finally just shut it down. That's how we can tell if we're at the appropriate number. Okay, so it should never feel like an argument. We do have our cases.
Yeah.
I get a handful a year where it's like they're like Max one of them, where you see pretty solid.
Yeah.
And pits, because what kind of mix is he?
He's like pit Kahlua hound.
Okay, so pits are notorious, in my experience, of being super physically resilient
Okay.
because they're bred for fighting.
Right.
Okay, so their pain tolerance and discomfort tolerance is super high.
Yeah.
That's why I tell people when you get that kind of dog, you know, until recently, I was like always opt for the higher power because they tend to be really resilient, and physicality, it takes a lot to stop them. So even though he doesn't look full pit or anything, it's still a part of him. Okay, and you also have to account for the anxiety or the level of anxiety that he has, because it's not just physical resilience; it's also mental state. Okay, so it's like really big fat guys in like the MMA and stuff. Like they could take hits, one because physically, you know, but then also the body's pumping with adrenaline and all that stuff, so they would have that working to their favor. So here, for this guy, definitely do that quick escalation day by day. It's going to suck for a bit because he's probably going to be yelping for the smaller infractions. It is what it is. Okay. For you, how do you feel when you come into these moments? Is it like, oh my God, here we go again?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. So when you step aside, are you tense or are you like as relaxed as you could possibly be?
I mean, I feel like I'm starting to get better, but I'm not going to say that I'm totally relaxed, no.
Because typically when I
More so because I'm like gearing up for the moment, like okay, like I don't know, yeah. It's like hard to be totally relaxed when you're like trying to
sure.
gear up to know what's going to happen.
for in your case with Ollie, would you say your anxiety and stress levels are because of him, or are you just naturally a kind of stress, anxious person?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. All these things do matter.
Yeah.
Because part of what I do is, of course, we build confidence through success,
Yeah.
right? But then if I have an already kind of anxious person,
Yeah.
it's harder for them to decompress
Sure.
and like let that stuff go.
Yeah.
Okay. And kind of just go like with me, I get dogs in our care that flip out,
Yeah.
and you'll always see me like this.
Yeah.
Doing this for 10 years, I'm
Yeah.
like whatever. I'm gonna go to 127. Stop me if I gotta go to 127. Like I don't care at the end of the day. I know the dog's not gonna die.
Yeah.
But then, so I don't have any. I'm not giving any feedback to the dog in the sense of like I'm still worried, because that is a feedback loop, right?
Yeah.
You already have an anxious dog,
Yeah.
and then we have an anxious personality type, right? So then, if you're already going into it like here we go,
Yeah.
you're gonna get that moment.
Yeah.
Whereas I go into it and I go, all right, what are you gonna do? And I go, and if you act up, I'm gonna shut you down.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not just, it's like the confidence of I expect you to be good and behave yourself, and then the confidence of like if you're not, I'm gonna just shut you up.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, if I could get to, and we'll set something up with Enrique,
Okay.
so I can see. I'll have him analyze what you're doing and stuff.
Okay.
And I gotta get, because he's got a number of visits he has to do for me with clients. So we'll probably have to do two separate ones. We'll do one where he just comes out.
Okay.
What's like the busiest time for you? And you're gonna be moving, so you're gonna be going to ring though, right? Yeah. I'm trying to think. I mean, I know prime time for most places is 47.
Yeah.
What about in the mornings?
Like as far as busy time, I don't know. It's so weird right now because so many people are working from home, so I feel like the mornings is good. Just weird. Like I feel like typically it would be like 7:30 a.m., but I feel like now it's kind of like more like 8:30 a.m.
Okay.
8 noon.
When you take them out
Yeah.
for the next few days, be mindful of in the morning times,
Okay.
because it'd be easier for me to send them to you in the morning.
Okay.
And what he'd do is what I want is you to go out on a normal walk. Enrique's going to go along. He's going to film. I'm going to review it, and I'm going to go, what's happening here? Okay. And then he'll probably give you some insight as well on how to handle the situation. And then we see what happens. Okay. If he's there and he's like, hey, do this and do this, you would just start applying that. And then I review the video and we take a look at it and see if that fixes the problem. Okay. Anything else?
He growled at me for the first time from remoting inside. We were inside.
Okay. What were you remoting for?
I think he was barking at something outside. He was on the couch, so I remoted him to go to his place.
Okay. Did you say anything to him?
I said the place.
Okay. Did you shout it or just say it?
No, I just said it.
Just said it. Okay. So you remoted at what number?
Yeah, it would have been like 87.
87. Okay. So you remoted at 87. And what was his response aside from the growl once you took the hit?
He stayed there for a second, and then I said, quiet, remoted him again, and then he went.
Okay.
The first time.
And that the first time is when you growl.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's bark, bark, bark.
Yeah.
You do 87.
Yeah.
He shuts up for a moment
Yeah.
and then growls. Was he looking at you when he growled?
I was like, yeah, he was looking in my direction, yes, but I wasn't staring at him.
So there was no like energy from you.
No.
Okay. What makes you think it was at you?
I mean, just the timing of it.
Okay. Because what it sounds like, because my pit does this,
Yeah.
is when she barks and I'm like, Lex, shut up.
Yeah.
She'll shut up and then she'll grumble and growl.
Okay.
And it's not, so it's like, it's still directed to what's happening outside.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I guess I could have done
Yeah. So a growl at you would be direct.
Guys.
Yeah, like looking at you.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel uncomfortable. You're gonna think, oh my God, my dog is staring straight at me as he's growling. It sounds like residual.
Okay.
So it sounds like he was at a 10, you remoted him, he dropped
Chill.
down to a 2, and then you got the growl,
Yeah.
and then you remoted again, and then 2 came to 0, and you went to play. Okay, so I keep an eye on it. I'm pretty
Yeah,
certain.
it was just one time.
Yeah. And the thing about people and their dogs, I tell everybody, don't get comfortable with your dogs. Like I had a client in particular who their dog had attacked this other dog. They had 4 pits.
Yeah.
Okay, dog attacked. Did I tell you the story?
Actually, I think so, but you can say it again.
The dog attacked the other dog. I come in. Wife's expecting a baby in like a month. And I go to correct the dog. It's on the consultation. I never correct dogs in consultation, but he went after me. Okay, and I got lucky. It got me a little bit, but anyways, we start the training, and he's the main focus, of course. And I tell the owner, I'm like, start muzzling this guy all the time. Whenever he's around, he's like, oh, but we only have him with us. We perfectly trust him. I'm like, it's not about that. I'm like, trust me, muzzle this dog, muzzle this dog. And then finally, one day during training, he corrected the dog for something for obedience, and the dog looked at him and growled. And he goes, whoa, I didn't like that. I'm like, muzzle your dog. And I was like, has he ever done it? He's like, no. I'm like, he's doing that now because now you're challenging him. Now you're telling him you can't do certain crap, right? So then he started muzzling his dog, and then his wife had the baby like a week later. Then I didn't see him for 4 weeks, and I get a random text going to put the dog down. Okay? So then I called him, I'm like, what happened? Because I don't know what's going on, okay? And he's like, he was on the bed with my wife. My wife reached for the remote, and he attacked her. And I was like, but, yeah. And then and then he was like, but he had the muzzle on, so it wasn't terrible. Like, he got her hand, but nothing like if he didn't have that muzzle. And I told him, I'm sorry to hear that, but now you know why I was insisting you muzzle him. Because I could already see the tension, right? But the owner trusted the dog too much. And I go, at the end of that, I was like, it doesn't matter. Once you start to confront your dog on things, and they decide one day, like, nah, they use their teeth to like settle things, right? So even with my own dog, like, they could bite me one day if they wanted to. They could come at me if they wanted to, right? Because it's a conversation. But people don't think that's going to happen because they've never seen it. So I'm not trying to make you paranoid. But, just be open to the fact that if he is a dog, and if there was to be a line crossed, he would defend himself or set a boundary or whatever. So, just keep an eye on the growling. I'm more than certain it was directed to whatever's outside, and that's why on the second hit, he actually complied because he already took down a big chunk of that intensity. Okay? Anything else? All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on these door exercises, hit some thresholds and things. I also noticed, like, when he gets really anxious and like pent up, you like tell him relax and stuff. Instead of telling him to relax, just use a remote. Okay. Remember, use it for every little thing. So another dog, and I've seen this myself. I've seen it once in my pit, Lexi. I had brought over a dog, and it was a very anxious personality, and she kept pacing around, and then she went over and like yipped the dog. And the dog ended up like shutting up, laid down, and fell asleep. Okay, so my pit just went up there and said, like, I'm going to disagree with this behavior because it's nonsense, right? So you're doing essentially the same thing. We don't have to cue anything here because you're just disagreeing with the behavior. Okay?
So don't say anything?
Yeah, just remote. So when you want to eliminate stuff, okay, we just remote it. When we want to control stuff, we cue something. This panting and all that, everything that we get outside of that, this you cannot correct. Okay?
Like
this
his shaking like this, like he does it all the time.
Yeah, like that's your dog. Okay, so unfortunately.
So just the whining.
Yes, because now he's starting to escalate. Now that whining, if left unaddressed, escalate to reactivity. Because he's already going outside into the world at like a 4. With the panting and the shaking and all that stuff, and you're trying to keep him as low as possible, which ideally that would be 0. So imagine that whining as being, him going to 5 and 6, and eventually it just becomes even worse. Okay. So like here, obviously. So this is where he would start. He would start lunging and barking. In the neighborhood. Okay. Alright. We gotta figure that out. Where'd you park? Alright, we're gonna head down there. Bring the. You got all your stuff. Okay. And lead the way. We have a set schedule. Have you tried CBD stuff?
Yeah, but it was a long time. My dad was on trazodone for a little bit.
Sure.
That made him so addicted. I still have it as like preventative, like my mom modified like 2 hours that I'll give it to him. As far as I can
a little bit in the neighborhood too. Okay, we want to tighten that up as well. Go ahead and just like open the door and just show me what. How much they're going to give us, West Coast. They're going to give us a lot of traffic,
So they usually just stand here. Go up.
Okay. Now, when you're leaving from the home,
Yeah.
does he have more incentive to like jump in, or does he look more
No,
sensitized?
he's still like kind of pauses for a second.
Okay, go ahead and pull him out.
Down. Down. Come on. It's weird with the clothes. And I have to
Put a little bit of leash pressure towards out, and then that's fine right there. Okay. I'm gonna have you just walk back and then walk up and stop at the curb. We're gonna see what happens. Okay. You're not gonna say anything. You're not gonna cue anything. We're just gonna see what happens.
So walk back up, don't say anything, and just.
Yeah. So you can even release him, and you're just gonna like leisurely just walk up and then come to a stop, like here with your leash slack.
Okay.
So I'm gonna see what he does here.
Okay. Deal.
Okay. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna repeat that exercise. Okay. You're at 87, 92. We're gonna dip it down for this. We're gonna go down to 65. I'm gonna have you repeat that. Okay. Now you're gonna do the same thing with giving the slack, but the moment he starts to try to hop up, or once he gets up there, you're gonna keep remote. You're gonna start remoting to flush him out. Okay. We're gonna start putting, let's say, structure over this.
Wait to get out or up there?
So, because you brought him up,
Yeah.
and what I was thinking I was going to see was that you presented yourself to the car. He goes, okay, he just hops up, right?
Yeah.
With no cue. You
Yeah.
don't want him to assume.
Okay.
So the way, to give an example, I had a client whose pit would be super reactive at the vet and was great everywhere else.
Yeah.
And I told him, like, is he excited to like go to the garage? He said yes. And I was like, is he excited to get in the car? He said yes. Is he excited when he goes to the vet? He said yes. So he's just building. So what we did was we went backwards and we put a threshold at the door, at the garage door, and the car door, at the vet door. So by the time the dog's in the vet's office, he's still at a 0-1, as opposed to the 10. He'd be panting, barking, spinning, like being super reactive.
Yeah.
And then it was all these things, because for a dog, going through a threshold stimulates or escalates, okay? So then, like going back to earlier, we said on the way here, he was really bad, okay? You can correct that behavior while he's in the car, but we're also looking at what's happening prior to the escalation,
Yeah.
okay? So then it would be, leaving from, from the back door to the garage door to the car door to here,
Yeah.
okay? So when he's here, he's actually more passive, and you would do this with everything, okay? Anytime you're going through something, just putting an extra threshold to see if it helps him cap his mental state, okay? We're trying to keep this guy from going to a 4.
Right.
Because when we see him with the panting and the shaking and stuff, it is what it is.
I know.
Okay.
I know. It's who he is.
Yeah. And don't feel bad about it. It's just Ollie. Yeah. So there's no tension there. Yep. Alright. So what you're gonna do is go ahead and just I'm gonna have you give light pressure going outwards.
Do I say anything or no?
No. So you're gonna go back and forth. When you see him start to go, you're not gonna use your leash to restrict him, okay? You're gonna allow him to start moving forward, but we're gonna begin remoting at that 65.
Okay.
If he hops up, we're gonna apply a little bit of pressure to direct him out as you're remoting to flush him out, okay?
So don't let him jump up?
Yes, we're breaking the assumption of when I present you to the car, it doesn't mean you're gonna just get up it, okay? Go ahead. And there's no heel here. We don't say anything. Because if you say heel, he's going to stick to you.
Yeah.
Okay? So you walk forward, give a little bit of slack. Forward. Not yet. Just forward. Tap, 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 tap. 70, tap, 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 tap. 75, tap, 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 tap. Tap, 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 tap. 80, tap, 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 tap. There. Okay? And we're trying that again. Just like you did it. Good. A little bit more forward. Keep your leash slack. A little bit more forward. Good. See how he's hanging back now? Okay, go ahead and go back and then forward again. We don't want the assumption. That's all we're stopping here. Good. One more step forward. Good. Right? So here, what's your cue to go in the car? Okay, so you're gonna go ahead and shorten your leash about halfway. You're gonna cue up, and it's gonna be light pressure with remoting to go in. Okay. Tap, 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 tap. Yep. Good job. Tap, 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 tap. Good. What's your cue to get out?
Down.
Okay.
Or out.
Out? Yeah, I would do out because down would be an obedience command. Remember that? So here, the way you're going to go about this is you present them to the car. We're stopping the assumption. Okay. So when you open your door and you walk to it, he should do what he did here is just stop and wait. Because I don't want him to think it's guaranteed you're going to go in. Okay. And then you would cue up, remote, send him in. When you close the door, go for your drive, you get to your destination, open your door, he should not just assume he can pop out. So if he does that, I'm ready with the remote, I start remoting him to go back in the car, okay, if he happens to get all the way out. Otherwise, you would remote him to back him up. So like if I crack the door open and he's there like ready to jump out, I don't even open it. Because the moment you open it, it's going to happen, okay? I crack it open and I start tapping and bumping it until you see him back away from the door. Then you would go to open it, wait a moment, out, and then you would cue it, okay? You're stopping the impulsive behavior. How does this tie with reactivity? Guess what reactivity is? It's an impulsive behavior, okay? So anytime or anything that you recognize as impulsive behavior for Ollie, I use that to my advantage, okay? Now, I don't do this with every dog, okay? Most dogs, they just stop the reactivity, easy, okay? You don't have that. So we have to find every little thing. He's not kenneled, is he? No. Okay. So as you go about your day with him, just think about like, you know what, that seemed pretty impulsive. Make a list, okay? And then you can email it to me like, Jesse, these are the things that I see that Ollie's impulsive with. What can I do here? And then I can give you information using the e-collar on how we can start stopping that impulsivity. And then, you know, we're gonna have to tackle this from a lot of different areas, okay? So, I wish your case was more straightforward. It's all right.
I knew it wasn't. Can I move this close to the curb so that we can easier? My car.
For him? Oh, by him. He's a big boy. Okay. So go ahead. So go ahead and say out.
Out.
Tap. Pull. Tap. 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 And boy. So, like, and by the way, this is like a tangent. Is his hesitation with coming out, right?
Yeah.
Let's say it is the curb. His brain tells him you can't do this, right? Which is like an insecure, lack of confidence type of deal. Is I actually, and we got a dog coming behind us, just so you know. Fine. Is there it is.
I'm listening.
Is if I see him hesitate about something, and I know he's perfectly safe in doing it, so there's not going to be no physical harm to him, is I work that brain through it, okay? Whoever invented these things must be rich.
What?
These camper.
Oh, yeah.
I've gone to like 4 of them. They last a while though.
What happens?
What? They just get really dirty and
Oh.
But I have dogs
Can you not
in
clean
and out
them?
my car. I don't have a washer.
Huh?
I don't have a washer, so I just buy a new one.
You know there's a thing called a laundromat, right?
I don't know if they wash it though.
Huh?
I don't know if they wash it.
There's got to be a.
I feel like I took a
Reasonable way
dog
to
bed
clean
once and they said no. Because of the fur. It clogged up their washers and stuff.
It's got to be something.
I'll make a dog wash laundry. Alrighty. Okay, we'll repeat that again. So you're gonna walk away. You're gonna bring them back. You know, there should be some hesitation, and then we'll cue him, so on and so forth. Good. Yep. 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 Boy. You're at 80?
Yeah, 82.
82? Just going to go to that 85 or whatever. And then very light pressure. And when you're ready, out.
Out.
Yep. 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 Yeah. Forward. Good. 92. And repeat. Wait a moment. And boy. Up. Yep. 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 A little bit more forward. Forward. Yep. 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 Forward. Yep. 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 Attaboy. Good job.
Good.
Okay. Very light pressure. Out.
Out.
There you go. Yep. Look at that. We're gonna do 2 more.
It's a little more alert that time.
Yes. We're gonna do 2 more. Wait a moment. Very good.
Up.
Yep. 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 Oh, good. Look at it.
Good.
Now he's starting to move quick. We got a dog coming. Alright, you ready?
Out.
Yep. Oh, look at that. Good. 1 more. Good. What I care about, so let's say, and that's a good question. Let's say you present him to the car. He wants to jump in, but you say sit, and he does the sit, right? But he still wants to jump in, right? It's actually stopping the wanting to jump in that's more beneficial than the obedience, okay? Obedience is physical control, and you're looking for, okay? Up. Yep. 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 Attaboy.
Good.
And out.
Out.
Very good. So you see how they got faster? Why did it get faster?
Bumped it up.
What does that mean?
Matched. I was thinking matched his level, but not really in that moment.
Well, yeah, in a sense.
Yeah.
Because there was some resistance.
Yeah.
Because of the curve or whatever it is, right? And instead of going, let me adjust the car to better accommodate Ollie, I make all the accommodations to the situation. Okay? That's how we handle things. So Like when I mentioned earlier about dog reactivity and stuff,
Yeah.
I already know how to handle them, so I'm not stressed out about it, right? When it comes to my business, things come up all the time, last minute, and it's like, oh shit. I'm very good at adapting, so it's not a problem, okay? And we actually had a conversation about this, right?
What?
About adapting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a very essential skill for and like in any means, right? So for him, it's the same thing. Adapting.
Humans, dogs, doesn't matter.
Huh?
Humans,
Yeah,
dogs.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to teach him how to adapt to the environment and handle those stressors, right? And that's where power comes into play. So that little bit of resistance eventually got quicker and quicker and quicker, and the out was quicker than the in. Okay? And it's yes because we use more power. More power is more concerning. Okay, and that's what I was talking about. When you're at that right number, you should see him back away. Okay? Because logically, you're like, shit, I'm at 85, 92, whatever, right? But dogs don't think logically. Okay, you got to override that emotional distress, and you have to override the physicality, the physical resiliency that dogs do naturally have. Okay, so what I would expect to achieve with this is if you send him in always with power, okay, up, tap, 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 tap. I'm very generous with my remote because I'm trying to get it in his head. When I say something, do it, or it's tap, 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 until you do so, right? And then you created some resistance at one point where you started backing away because more power was dissuading him, and it's normal. But I'm like, nope, you're gonna move forward. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do it fast, okay?
Yeah.
I'm making him more worried about me and what I'm saying than he is about the environment.
Okay.
Okay, that's the whole theory on how all this stuff works. Is you're more worried about me and the rules I put on you and the stuff that I teach you and the skills and all that than you are about the dogs walking in our neighborhood. Okay, and we achieve that through physicality and power. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, let's say you do this and you send him in, and he's still anxious. Okay, be careful, but you can correct with the remote. Okay. What I would most likely do is once I'm in the car and ready to drive, I probably just tap it. And as you're driving, when you hear that first little pine, just a quick boom on 127, okay? And you might see him spin around and finally lay down and just shut up for the rest of the ride because you just told him you're not gonna do that when we're driving, okay? Because all I care about is stopping the behavior. I don't care about how he actually feels about the ride, okay? As terrible as that sounds, okay? Because it's not about making him enjoy the ride. It's about not allowing him to go into that mindset of anxiety and then becoming overwhelmed. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely used the remote in the car, for him. I don't know. We slipped out of a biker once. That was coming really close to the
sure.
car. And then,
that's territorial.
Yeah, and then a dog a few times, but he's been better about reacting to dogs in the car, so that's positive, I guess.
Sure. So yeah, that's what I would do. Is I would honestly just do 127.
Okay.
And the moment he starts whining, just pop one tap on that 127 and see what he does. You're gonna most likely get you're gonna get a yelp, or maybe even a little bit of anxiety as a response. But it's in response to the caller, not because of the car ride. So they're very different. Okay, so you're kind of making him more anxious about the hit than he is about how he feels about being in the car.
Okay.
That's normal. Okay. What I would expect to see is as you do this, since his brain's not going to go to that mindset anymore, is that when he hops in, he's just going to go into a resting state, which is just lay down.
You're right.
Okay. Questions about this? Right. So it's a stupid, easy exercise.
Yeah. It's helpful.
Do remember every single time you send him, power behind it. Every time you remove him, power behind it. Do not allow him to just jump in on his own, and do not allow him to just jump out on his own, okay? If he jumps in, use the remote to flush him out. Ideally, don't try to drag him out, okay? You apply a bit more physical than I would recommend, okay? You do a bit more. It's very subtle.
For out, are you saying?
For either.
For both? Okay.
So it's literally, because you're doing more so like a full tug, and I'm looking for just a very subtle, this is where you want to go, and you're making that remote make it flush out. Okay, so it's 90, 95, 100, and all of a sudden, fine, I'm coming out, Mom. Yeah. Boom, there he is. Okay. The more you make him mentally engage or make these decisions, the better, theoretically, he should be getting. Okay. Questions about this? All right, let's go back to our usual spot. We'll see if we can cover a quick little obedience exercise, and then we have our walk. You got probably take that. Huh? You probably take that. And actually, what I want to do is I want to fix that collar because it is loose.
Is he collar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard on him doing that.
Do you have it? Do you have the notch marked at all?
No, I left it.
So what we'll do is after we do this, I'll have you muzzle them up, and then I'll go over the collar. I'll fit it myself, and then just be sure to mark it with if you have nail polish at home, strip of nail polish, or clean yourself. Sharpie doesn't work.
Or does it come out?
No, that's a paint. No, that's just a paint Sharpie. Oh, there's the dog. Yeah, unless it's a paint Sharpie, most likely it won't work.
I've also noticed, okay, so like, when I walk into February Ollie, like, he walks a little bit faster than I do. He'll walk a little bit faster than I do. Ollie tries to, like, keep up.
Is he in front?
Like, it'll be like me, dog, him, and like, he walks a little bit, like, he'll be like a little bit ahead of me.
Sure.
And he's like, tries to keep up.
That's normal,
Okay.
but you can correct that.
Yeah, okay.
So what you can do there is instead of doing the turnaround, I don't like this method, but because of the setting, it's kind of all you have. So if you'll just imagine walking at him, let's see if it slows him down. Like typically we do the turnaround. And then if he doesn't, then I just keep bumping into him. Okay. Does Ollie have any kind of formal down?
Like the lay down?
How well does he respond? Oh, what's that?
Pretty well.
So go to show me how you would typically down.
Down.
Okay. Will he do it with just the verbal cue?
No. I mean, at home, yeah, but like on leash, I don't know.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna rotate that prong collar.
Okay.
We're gonna put it so that the ring is on the bottom of his neck, okay? Good. And go ahead and put him in the sit.
Sit.
Yeah, right. So slight pressure. A very little pressure. So let you pull up right there. Yeah. So like that. Yeah. So you see how he's non-responsive, right? So let's go to where you at right now?
92.
All right, let's go to 97. Yep.
Sit.
Yep. 102. Tight pressure up. Yep. Right there.
Good.
Okay. Good. So, again, I'm going to point this out.
Yeah.
That's 102 just to make him sit up.
Yeah.
Okay? This is simple obedience stuff, okay? So, remember when it comes to your behavior, I'm reading a lot about Ollie, and I think this happened last time too, where for obedience, I'm like, you're already at this just for obedience. That for behavior, I would assume I'm going to be a lot higher than that, okay? So, you're going to make, let your leash go slack here, and a little bit more. Good. So you see that little loop there? With your left foot, you're gonna step on that loop so that Ollie feels pressure on his neck, right? So right there, I don't see any pressure. A little bit more. About there, okay? Tap. A little bit more pressure on the leash. Tap. A little bit more pressure on the leash. Good. Yeah. And you're gonna a little bit more pressure on the leash. Good. Yep. A little bit more pressure. Got it. Good. Yep. And praise.
Good.
Okay, we're gonna repeat that 4 times. Yeah. Yep. 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 There you go. And just so you know, you can create more power by rapid fire. Okay. So instead of having to bump it, like I said, tap, 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 then tap, tap, tap.
Okay.
And that gave us kind of the same thing as bumping it to 107 essentially. Okay. So light pressure on the leash. Yep. And praise.
Good.
Yeah, boy. Good job, buddy. Yeah. Good. And relax. Good.
Good.
Praise. Good boy. Good.
Good.
And yep. Second to last. Yep. Take your time. There you go.
Good.
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 I'm gonna have you wait a moment, okay? So what we're doing is we're simply trying to teach Ollie to lay down in a much easier fashion. So the first one took the most. It took the most leash pressure, and it took the most taps, right? But then gradually got faster, where one of them was even one tap boom to lay down, right? So the reason why we're doing it like this is because it's not as simple as teaching the down, and if he doesn't do it, we correct him.
Okay.
You have to use the pressure. You have to teach the dog how to do the command through the pressure. So that's why we're using that directional pressure going downwards and tapping to get them to comply with that leash pressure, okay? Because most dogs, if you remote them for a down, will pop out.
Okay.
They'll pop out and run off, okay? So what we're teaching them is, look buddy, there's another answer to the remote, and it's when you feel the leash pulling down, it's to go down, okay? This is also giving you some insight, obedience-wise, again, of just where that brain is at, okay? 102 out of 127 just for some sitting down stuff is stupid high. So don't feel bad about it or anything like that, but again, being aware of, like, you know what, it makes sense that 85 isn't working for reactivity because we needed a higher number just for the sit, okay? So a little bit of leash pressure. Going down, yep. And yeah, there we go. And
Good.
very good. Okay. So what we're going to do here is this is meant for durational work, much like the place command.
Yeah.
Okay. Right now we're just working on one aspect of it, and that's the aspect of just lay down. Okay, making it stupid easy. Okay, it shouldn't be an argument to have him go down. It should be fairly quick. So earlier when you said down, you know, you said down and you have to point and all that stuff. I really just want the verbal cue of down, and the dog does it. Okay. So what we're gonna do now is you're gonna put him in the sit. You're gonna cue the word down first, but you're not gonna do any movements. Okay. You're gonna cue down. You're gonna tap first, and your rhythm will be tap, tap, tap. If we don't see a response for that second and third tap, then as you're tapping, you're gonna add in that step of the leash pressure to get them to go down. Okay. So up to the sit.
Good. No leash pressure, right?
Yeah. So grip the slack first, just in case you're gonna need to apply it. You're gonna cue the word down first, followed by those slow rhythmic taps. And then if he doesn't respond, you would add in the leash pressure, but do not repeat the command.
Okay. Down.
And praise.
Good.
Yeah, boy.
And then do the same thing for
Yep, light pressure.
sit.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're correct.
Oh, okay.
Sit, tapping, then pressure.
Okay. Sit.
Now a little bit of pressure. Yeah. There you go. And
Good.
praise. Hey, Kendall. I'll be right with you, okay?
Down. Good.
Good. We're gonna do sit. We're gonna do one more round, okay?
Okay. Sit.
Right. So going to shorten your leash a little bit, and you're gonna lightly pull up. There. Yeah.
sit.
and relax. Now, do you know why that's happening?
No.
Because he's becoming stimulated. Like saw Gilmore over there. Something stimulated. I'm pretty sure it was Gilmore. Because after they came by and said something to us, I don't know if you heard that really heavy breathing that was real short, and he also keeps looking at the direction.
He doesn't usually like roll around. Like he's never like been a roll around in the grass kind of guy.
Sure.
Like,
Down.
down.
Better.
Good.
Okay. So this exercise,
Yeah.
2 times a day, 2 to 3 minutes,
Okay.
or you can do a round of 5.
Okay.
Down, sit, down, sit, down, sit. Okay. We're gonna create a problem. That problem is he's gonna assume when you say sit or whatever
Yeah.
that you're gonna end up downing him again. So then you're gonna see him prematurely down. If that happens, you'll lightly pull up on the leash. You won't say anything, and correct them back into position. Delay the moment so that when you say down, it's on your cue and not because he's assuming. Okay? Questions about that? So you have your threshold exercise. Start applying that. If there's anything you feel like you're being impulsive about, send me an email. Make our list of stuff. Hey, we'll see what we can do. I think you're probably gonna be up there in terms of your levels. Okay. Let's go ahead and muzzle him up, and then
Can I fix this front collar?
yeah, you can fix all that stuff. I'm gonna run to my car real quick. I'll grab my mask, and then I'll be back.
Hold up.